Hey everyone, my name is Chris Green and my entire channel exists to give you practical tips and advice for when it comes to playing and recording music. In today's video, I got a fun lesson for you that's actually found in my Recording Academy online course, a little bit of a preview of what's available to you. This comes from a lesson that's entitled MIDI Instruments Part 2, where I dive into taking the drum set that I recorded with just two microphones, an SM7 on my kick drum and an SM81 as a mono overhead. I'm gonna show you how to go in and replace the sound of your kick drum just using the built-in features in PreSonus Studio One. So if you have Studio One and you have access to some sort of kick sample that you want to replace your kick drum with, you can radically change the sound of your drum recordings by getting into sample replacement. So this video is going to be a preview from what's available in Recording Academy. If you're not part of Recording Academy, I'd love it if you head over to therecordingschool.com and at bare minimum, sign up for the email newsletters. That way we can stay in touch. Of course, you can always email me, chris@therecordingschool.com. Once you are part of the Academy, you'll have access to all of these lessons and modules available as I'm recording a song from beginning to end. We're using the Focusrite 2-channel audio interface. I'm going to show you how to install PreSonus Studio One, some recommended tips with all of that, and then also recording all these major instruments like the drum set, grand piano, guitars, acoustic guitars, bass guitar, vocals. We cover all of it. And then also we get into mixing. So you'll learn how to use plugins like EQ, compression, reverb, delay, and more. All of that's available at Recording Academy. You can get 15% off the Recording Academy. Just use the code GREEN15. Now, for the rest of the video, I'm going to hand things over to myself. Like I said, this is just going to be a preview of what's available within the course itself. This is the lesson MIDI Instruments Part 2, how to replace your kick drum. Here we go.
Recording Academy, MIDI Instruments.
I mentioned when we were recording drums that I want to go ahead and add a kick sample. So let's go ahead and replace this kick drum. All right, so this process of adding in drum samples is a little bit intensive, but if you follow along with me, it's a relatively easy process once you get used to it. So the first thing I want to do is detect transients. A transient is anytime we have a new piece of information. So for me on the kick drum, anytime I hit the kick drum, that counts as a transient. As soon as the beater hits the bass drum, that's a transient. And I want it to count all of the transients. Okay, so what we need to do is we're going to right click, go to audio, and in the audio options, we have detect transients. If I select detect transients, now you can see that our kick drum track now has all these blue bars. All right, so as you can see, we have too many transients that are being detected. I don't want all these little hits to be part of the kick drum track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this tab here that's called Audio Bend. And you can see right here, there's a button that says Threshold, and it's got a little bit of a slider. If I turn the slider up, if I click and drag, you can notice there's more blue lines on the screen. And if I drag it down, you can see there's less and less blue lines. I want to keep going down until all we have selected are the kick drum hits. So I'm losing a few of those there. Let's take a listen to this little area here. I'm going to solo the kick drum. I'm going to hit play. It looks pretty good to me. Right here we can see, I believe it missed one of the kick drum hits. Let's take a listen. Yeah, so anytime you want to add, if you want to manually add a transient, we're going to hit 7 on the keyboard, and then I'm going to use the Shift key. I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to select right at the beginning of this transient. And if I click, now we have a newly added transient right there. This is going to be very important, as you'll see in just a few minutes. I'm going to scan through the rest, and pretty well, it looks like we're at a good spot. It's leaving out those snare drum hits and only leaving the kick drum, okay? So let's say we may need to add a few more in the future, but let's say that this has detected all the transients that we need. So just to reiterate, you want to right click, go to audio, you want to select detect transients. It will go through and use its little algorithm to detect whatever's going on. You want to open up the audio bend section, and you want to decrease the threshold until just the information of the kick drum is selected. From there, you can go in and fine tune it, hit 7 on your keyboard. That will allow you to add your own transient markers if you need to. All right, from there, I want to add a track. I want you to select Instrument, and I'm going to name this one Kick Sample. After I name it Kick Sample, I want this to be pink, just a little bit different. We're going to say New Instrument, Instrument Input Default, New Instrument, and I want you to select Impact. Impact is PreSonus Studio One, kind of like their drum sampler. You've seen it many a times, probably before. We'll hit OK. Now what we need to do, we've got this kick sample track sitting just below our kick drum track. What we can do, since we've got the transients selected, if I click this audio region and I drag it down and I let go, notice now we have all of these transients that have been copied over to a MIDI track. The only problem is we need to tell this sampler what to actually trigger, okay? So I'm gonna open up Kick Sample. I'm gonna hit the little keyboard button. And now what we wanna do is we wanna find a kick drum sample that we'd like to hear every time the kick drum plays. So I've got many different kits. Let's see if I can find one. Okay, I found this one that I like. This is called Tom, I'm gonna try to say it, but you can see it on the screen. Tom Brechtelton drums. I've just got that one selected. And here we have a kick drum sample. I like the sound of this sample. So every time my kick drum hits, I want to hear this kick drum instead, which is located at C1. That's gonna work out in our favor. So if I open up the MIDI region, just double click anywhere it's got these MIDI files. As you can see, all of these MIDI notes are currently located on C3. So I'm gonna select them all, just click and drag. I'm gonna use my arrow keys to shift these all the way up till we get to C1. Just arrow up. Very good. So now watch what happens. You can see these are not in time. I don't want to quantize this because I haven't quantized my original drums whatsoever. I want them to still sound like they are real. But now what I need to do is I'm going to mute my original kick drum track. So my original kick drum track is completely muted. I'm going to hit play, and what you're going to be hearing is the kick sample with the overhead mic. Okay, I can see right here we had one of the transients that got missed. So I'm gonna double click this area here. I need to add this in. It needs to be close. So let's see. Right about there. There's another one that got missed. Right here at the measure. Okay. Anytime I want to move these off of the grid, I'm just clicking and holding, and then I'm holding the shift key to move it into place so it comes just a bit before the fourth beat. There's another one that got missed. So I'm basically just going to go through this whole song. I'm going to zoom in as close as I can on the timeline. I'm going to put my playhead where it needs to be. And I'm just going to double click down here on C1 until it adds a new hit. Okay, so take a listen to that. Any hits you want to delete, just simply click them and then hit the backspace key. Okay, looks like we're missing one there. Now, some of these I may not have hit the kick drum, but I definitely want it to have a consistency. Move that into place. Okay, I'm questioning if some of these need to be in here. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to try and skip to the end. Just know that I'm basically going through and I'm tediously going through and making sure that all of these kick drum hits are supposed to be kick drum hits, because some of them might have just been the snare drum, which triggered it on its own. So when this is finished, it's totally up to you. But I've got my original kick drum track now muted. So what we get is a much more isolated signal. If I just go back to the beginning of this chorus, if I play it, here is the before. So this is with my original drums. This is with the kick drum and the overhead. And here it is with the kick sample in the overhead. Okay, so now the rest of this, and you'll be able to open up this session as well. Just make sure you have Impact installed. You can go crazy with this. Imagine the possibilities. If you want your snare drum to sound different, you can go through and isolate the snare drum as well. But this is why I prioritize when I'm recording drums. That's why I prioritized having a kick drum mic, so that I can try to isolate that as much as possible. So I'll go through the rest of this song. You'll be able to see this later in the video. As we go through lesson after lesson, you'll be hearing the kick sample rather than the original kick drum.
That creek is my ocean, those woods are my shore. How could I, as rich as I, ever want more? Where I come from.
Hope this has been beneficial to you. If it has, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons for more videos just like this. As I mentioned before, head to therecordingschool.com, sign up for the email newsletter. And then also, if you want to have access to Recording Academy, make sure you use the coupon code GREEN15. You take 15% off at checkout. Now, YouTube is recommending you check out this video just over my shoulder here. So give that a look, and I'll see you at the next video.